Welcome to Personhood Florida's monthly live stream here on Facebook and YouTube. We are an organization that's working to protect every innocent human life, and today we have an exciting video where we're going to be talking about whether the One Big Beautiful Bill Act actually defunded Planned Parenthood. And we're going to talk about and actually even show you a graph that shows the amount of federal funding that Planned Parenthood receives. And I think you're going to see on this, it also shows the number of abortions that Planned Parenthood has done per year. And you're going to see that as they have received more money and federal funding, they have actually performed more abortions. We also are going to talk about the funding levels of Planned Parenthood, the federal funding, the amount they receive from federal tax dollars, your tax dollars, prior to the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. We'll talk about the possible effects of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act on defunding Planned Parenthood for 1 year. Also, the exceptions that are in the bill that still allow Planned Parenthood to receive money under certain circumstances. And then the current status, which includes the Planned Parenthood court challenge and the injunction. And what we'll do is we'll actually bring on we're joined here with Jay Rogers, the real effects of the funding of Planned Parenthood on the number of abortions that they perform.
Okay, so one of the things that Planned Parenthood will tell you is they'll tell you that none of the federal funds that they receive go towards abortion. That they go toward things like pregnancy tests and STD tests and different things like that to really help people. And that if federal funding is cut, then women would lose these services. I even saw an article today in The Hill. The Hill is somewhat of I would say a right-leaning conservative outlet, although they have people from different points of view, really lambasting the big beautiful bill for cutting all these women's services. So you wonder, sometimes you get people on the right even that get pulled into this. But what I wanted to do is show you just real briefly here. I'm going to share a screen, and this is a report, fact sheet on Planned Parenthood. So this is the fact sheet on Planned Parenthood. This is from the Charlotte, I don't know how you say this, Lozier Institute. And this is from Planned Parenthood's 2023-2024 annual report. The 2024-2025 report is not available yet. Okay. So this goes on and tells you about how Planned Parenthood performed a record 402,230 abortion, an increase of over 2% from the previous year, and an increase of 23% since 2013. Okay. This goes on. The main thing I wanted to show you is this graph right here. Now, if you notice, if you go all the way back to 2011, the total government revenue, in other words, federal funding to Planned Parenthood, was roughly at about $600 million, so $0.6 billion. And in 2024, in the gray here, what was the number, Brian, that we said? 796?
792
792 million. So close to 0.8 billion. So that's quite a jump, and that's all taxpayer funded. And then if you notice the number of abortions, this is in tens of thousands. So when we see that 3.5, what that is that's 350,000 abortions per year. And that's out of the total number of abortions in America that year. And even though the total number of abortions have decreased since 2011, the number of abortions that Planned Parenthood has been performing have gone up. So now it's roughly at 400,000. So over half of the abortions that are recorded as abortions that are reported to the federal government are performed by Planned Parenthood. At the same time, the number of patients that they've been seeing has really plummeted. It's gone from 3 million down to about 2 million. Okay, and this is what this report says here. So, we'll put the links to this. People can look at this for themselves. But that's the result of tax money. Now, when Planned Parenthood says that, well, we don't use federal funding for abortion, one thing you have to remember is that all money is fungible. And what that means is that when you, for instance, if you were to run a business and your revenue for your business was, $600,000 a year, and I came along and said, well, guess what? We're going to give you a grant, and we're going to give you, $400,000 a year, but you can't use it for this. That doesn't really matter because you could just move some of the money that you were already paying for that particular thing over to other things that you'd like to do. So essentially, even though that money supposedly does not go directly to abortions, it frees Planned Parenthood up to get people into the clinic. It gets young girls in there to get birth control. And when they get birth control, obviously they let them know we also offer abortion services. It lets them go out to schools, send out, hire a representative to go out to high schools like we have in Orange County here or in Orlando, to go out and talk to students about, and they're not supposed to talk about abortion, but we've seen how they get around that. So there's all kinds of things that Planned Parenthood can do with that money to get people into the clinic, and then that allows them to perform more abortions. The other thing I wanted to mention real briefly here is that even the other thing Planned Parenthood will say is, I say, well, only about 3 or 4% or 2% of our services that we offer are abortions. But if you go to a 990 form, like I did that there was a clinic here in Orlando, Central Florida, Planned Parenthood. I looked at their 990 forms, and I saw that about 1/3 of their revenue, in other words, 1/3 of the money that they had coming in, came in from surgical services. Okay, so even though they'll say, well, only 2 or 3% of the services that we offer, the percentage of the money that's coming in, a very large portion of that is from abortion. So what we're doing is we're funding Planned Parenthood to stay in business, to perform all of these services. And then what they're able to do with that is they're able to leverage that to be able to get a lot of money in performing surgical abortion, chemical abortion, and so on.
What we've seen is the number of patients they're serving going down by really about 33%. The amount of money that they're receiving going up, and at the same time the amount of money that they're receiving going up, you also see the amount of abortions, the number of abortions that they're doing. Also, it's almost you see really a rise in the number of abortions that they are performing.
Yeah, exactly. That's the graph that we're looking at right now.